So this is my Cressi Dive Knife, and a lot of people have had problems with the rust. Everybody, in fact. I figured out a way to rust proof it. I will show you that in a moment. I'm going to roll on those clips, but here it is, beautiful in action. Salt water. You still have to take care of it. You still have to rinse it out after you're done using it, but this method you can see up close. The method I use, no visible changes, and all rust proof, no issues. So let me roll on those clips. I've been a Cressi fan for a while. I've reviewed several of their products on this channel. So when it came to buying a dive knife, I was looking at their products, looking at everybody else's dive knives, and somehow I was always drawn back to this Cressi knife. This is the Scorpion. Their Borg looks very similar. It's just got a longer knife. Something about the look and the length of the blade. This is just over 4 inches. It was perfect for me, which is what I was looking for. So imagine my disappointment when I read all the reviews and saw all the pictures, especially on Amazon. Everybody was looking and had pictures of rust around, particularly around this guard here and this piece here, and sometimes even going down into the shaft of the blade. So I went back to looking at other options, but I just kept going back to this. So not to be defeated, I was trying to figure out solutions. I even called Cressi at one point, but typical solutions to the knife rusting, dive knives rusting, is using oil or WD-40, and I had no interest, or Vaseline. I had no interest in any of those smelly products or dirty products. I wasn't going to start bringing around a can of WD-40 on my vacations and stuff. So that was out. I looked into galvanizing, cold galvanizing sprays that you can actually spray onto metals and make them rust proof. But first of all, they were like $18 for the can, and it was kind of overkill for really just this piece and this piece. So that led me to then I'm like, oh, maybe they make it at a pen. They do. There's one company, but that was also expensive to shipping and stuff, and wasn't exactly practical. So kept on going down this rabbit hole of trying to find a solution. And eventually I thought about somehow once I was looking at the pen versions of the galvanizing, I got into paint pens and cars, touch-up paint for cars, and how people use that to prevent rust on their cars when they get scratches and dents. Then I started, looking into regular paint pens, and I remembered, I'm like, all right, that's a good solution. But I remembered I'd once used chrome paint pen, and I'm like, oh, perfect. That'll retain the whole the look as well. And basically, that's the problem here. Instead of using all stainless steel throughout, it's more likely than not that they've just plated a chrome finish or something on this piece, the guard, as well as this piece down here. So I think that's where all the problem is, and there's little gaps here, which I'll show you. And anyway, so I looked into the chrome paint pen, and then either I read a review or I thought about it, and it occurred to me using nail polish. And I looked into nail polish. Sure enough, that's a great rust prohibitor. And then I experimented. The first time around, I used like a cheap clear nail polish. I thought this is perfect because it's going to seal it. It's going to retain the original look, as you can see. And that didn't work right, so took that off easily, and that was one of the problems, that it did come off easily, and found this great top coat. It's made by Essie. I'll put a link in the description below, but this is a gel that women use on their nails generally, but it's perfect for this application because it goes on fairly thick relative to all the others, and this stuff lasts. So just to note, you'll see this is the 304. When I called Cressi, they said they switched their blades to 420, and in order to combat that rust problem, which didn't make any sense because the stainless steel 304 is actually more rust prohibitive or less corrosive than 420 steel. So that didn't really make that much sense. And I gathered, and I saw pictures of people who had the 420 for both the Borg and the Scorpion that had this rust problem. So this was the solution, just to show you how it goes on, nice and easy. And this is not too expensive either. And if you have a significant other that can use the rest, that's great. But one of the most important things you'll see, and I'm going to focus in on it now, you see that this is I already did one coat of this, by the way. This is just going to be my second coat. Just doesn't probably even need it, but just for protection, just to show you guys. There's a space in between that blade and the guard. And the goal is to get some of this right in there. And the fact that it goes on a little bit thicker is what's perfect. I also didn't mind getting one little clear streak or line right above. And that's in line with getting that in here. By sealing up this gap in between the blade and the guard, so not only are you going to protect from rust corrosion, but if you're braining fish or anything where you're going to get dirty, you're going to prevent any kind of blood, guts, anything from getting down under there, and which will in the long term prevent any kind of smells, bacteria growth, etc., etc. So double benefit here. One thing about using this stuff, it takes 24 hours to fully harden, but it's not like regular paint that we're used to, whereby you can just keep going over and over and doing more coats. You can only do a couple of quick ones. Now it's okay to like put this stuff on thick. I'll show you this. So instead of like normally where you just go like this, what I'm doing is I'm leaving a bunch of it on the brush. You can actually see that, so that it gets right down in there. I want to fill in that space. And granted, mine's already filled in from the first coat, but just to show you guys the idea here. Fill that in, and I'm also doing this whole piece here. Nice and thick, but clear. Just nice even strokes. And like I said, this is a gel, so other clear coats, and this is what they call a top coat as opposed to just regular nail polish. And I found that this goes on much better, and this is probably one of the more expensive top coats, this brand, whatever, but it seems to work a lot better, so it's worth it. This is going to protect your knife. You're not going to have any rust issues. And for the most part, you're retaining that look. I mean, for me, if I get a little here or there, doesn't matter. And that's the idea here. And it's a bit hard to tell, but now after the second coat, you can see that edge, it's definitely protected and filled in. You can see a tiny bit of those bubbles, which don't bother me as long as I know that it's that gap is filled. That's perfect for me. Oh, there you go. Now you also want to get this bit underneath here, and there's a little indentation there with the the back of the guard there, or the underneath part. You want to get right in there as well. Make sure that's sealed up, covered up, and along these edges as well, just the bottom part. That's it. It's super simple. There's no real need to coat the whole knife. You can if you want to, the whole blade rather. Believe it or not, these are heavy and quality blades. When you look at all the pictures and the reviews, those are not actually getting rusted out. The rust is starting with this piece here and also this piece. And by the way, you want to seal the edges here and make sure you get inside. There's like a little bevel that you want to get inside there as well. And that's really it. Just a little quick, tidbits. If you haven't purchased this knife already, the reviews you read about, I can't put it in now because it's wet, but I should have showed you before, about not locking in. That's rubbish. You'll hear it click in, and that thing's not moving. So either people dropped it and broke it, or perhaps they got a defective one right out of the box. I doubt it, but or there is a chance, like it feels like it's in, but unless you hear that click, it's not in. But once it's clicked in, this is a solid material. This is a hard plastic, and it's well built. Straps are nice and thick. Some people complained about it, rubbing up against them. I'm not sure what that was about either. It's like a soft rubber. Anyway, just if you have any questions, I mean, this is pretty straightforward, but if you have any questions, leave them in the comments down below. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. And yeah, this is easy enough to do, and this just works. It's a simple solution. You can have this beautiful knife without any worries. You do still have to wash it every day, after every use, fresh water. But there were people complaining that they were still getting that rust problem, even just using this in fresh water and drying it out and stuff. So this will prevent any of that rust issues. I appreciate you joining me, and if you have any questions, again, leave them in the comments down below. If you found this at all helpful, please do give it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more,